will continue for at least 10 to 20 more years.
Adam, an energy play. What do you make of it?
I love energy, but especially for someone's retirement account, I'd much prefer seeing them do something that's a basket of energy or oil or gas stocks.
So what are you doing?
Vanguard Value ETF. I own this, Neil. This is a basket of value stocks. You should hold this for a very long time.
Ben, what are you doing these days?
What am I doing these days? Mostly eating at McDonald's. But I like the SPLV, which is Standard & Poor's, emphasizing low volatility stocks. It's done very well. I like it a lot.
You know, you were mentioning flying commercial jet. I knew someone who bumped into you, Ben, said you were the nicest gentleman, kindest guy on the plane. I admire that.
Well, you're very kind to say so.
I lied.
Appreciate that.
People you know, news you want. This is your connection to an ever-changing world. Fair and balanced. Fox News Talk.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Warnings came too late in California to stop the deadly rampage of a Hollywood director's son. The Friday killing spree left 7 dead, including the killer. Fox News Radio's Jeff Manasso has more live.
Lisa, by the time Elliot Rodgers' parents raced to find him Friday after seeing his rants online, Rodgers had already stabbed 3 men, including 2 UC Santa Barbara roommates, leaving his neighbors there shocked.
I don't understand how he could have overpowered 3 guys all at the same time without any of them making a sound. Because I was right upstairs all night.
Rodgers later shot and killed 3 others, including 2 women, and injured over a dozen others before killing himself. The rampage apparently fueled in part by Rodgers' frustration with women. UC Santa Barbara declaring a day of mourning will be closed tomorrow. Lisa.
Jeff, mourning our nation's fallen and all who have served. President Obama, just back from a surprise visit to our troops in Afghanistan, hosts a breakfast for military families next hour and speaks at Arlington later this morning. Pope Francis in the midst of a busy day in Jerusalem, where Fox News Radio's Emily Wither is live.
The Pope has been wrapping up his final day in the Holy Land and navigating a minefield of symbols in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. At the Israeli Prime Minister's request, he made an unscheduled stop at the country's Victims of Terror Memorial, a marble structure engraved with the names of Israeli civilians mainly killed in attacks by Palestinians. It comes a day after the Pope prayed with Palestinians at Israel's West Bank barrier. The Pope also visiting the Holocaust Memorial, kissing the hands of survivors. He'll head back to Rome later today after holding one last mass here in Jerusalem. Lisa?
Emily, a mudslide 2 miles wide and about 4 miles long near the Colorado town of Colburn, where 3 people are reported missing. Emergency crews had to stop the search last night because of unstable conditions east of Grand Junction. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Fox rocks.
I'm Kirsten McNary. Michael Jackson lives as a hologram, performing Slave to the Rhythm at the Billboard Music Awards on ABC. And Robin Thicke continued his effort to woo back estranged wife Paula Patton.
I gotta get her, go get her, go get her, go get her back. Help me out, John.
Good luck with that, Robin.
Still I call it magic.
Coldplay's 6th studio album Ghost Stories is out now. It's assumed to be a breakup album about singer Chris Martin's conscious uncoupling from wife actress Gwyneth Paltrow.
Just one drink gets me closer. Just one drink.
Jack White giving Rolling Stone magazine a preview of his upcoming solo album. Lazaretto is due out June 10th. And Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger is a great-grandfather. Granddaughter Assisi Jagger giving birth to a girl. That's Fox Rocks from Fox News Radio.
International observers just declaring Ukraine's presidential vote as a genuine election, saying it was held freely and fairly despite the unstable security environment in the east. Pro-Russian separatists not giving up there. They've seized the airport in Donetsk, even though Russia is in the midst of outreach to Ukraine's incoming leader.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says there's no need for the West to intervene or be the mediator. Lavrov saying the Kremlin views Ukraine's presidential vote positively and is ready to deal with billionaire Petro Poroshenko. This after the Chocolate King announced the importance of normalizing ties with Russia and maintained it's important to establish dialogue with eastern regions that have declared independence from Ukraine.
Fox Radio's Jessica Gallagher in Kiev. From the president's wreath-laying to parades around the nation, Americans are remembering the nation's fallen, some in quiet reflection.
Flowers lined the entrance to the World War II Memorial here in Washington. President. A note reads, "To the memory of our gallant sons and daughters." A younger generation of sons and daughters came here to remember their parents and those they never knew but wish they did.
They call it the greatest generation, and it's not by accident.
As the granite wall here says, to them we have a solemn obligation. At the World War II Memorial, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News Radio.
Volunteers placing flowers on veterans' graves in Dallas, where this 7-year-old Cub Scout brought his grandfather, a Vietnam vet from Nebraska, to help.
The second I heard them say, Memorial Day weekend, we're going to graves, I said, let's do it.
He was part of the tribute organized by the nonprofit group Remember Heroes. Olympic runner Oscar Pistorius now behind the gates of a South African psychiatric center, undergoing a court-ordered evaluation as part of his murder trial for the shooting death of his girlfriend. The judge issued the order after a psychiatrist testified Pistorius had an anxiety disorder that could have contributed to the shooting. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
The nightmare care at the VA. Is this a preview of what Obamacare will bring to the U.S.?
Going to work, no matter how big anybody's heart is, no matter how much they care. Here is a microcosm of what Obamacare is going to be if it's fully implemented.
So is that just hyperbole, or is that our future? Hi, everybody. I'm David Asman. Welcome to Forbes on Fox. Let's go in focus with Steve Forbes, Rich Karlgaard, Sabrina Schaefer, John Tamny, Rick Unger, and Mike Ozanian. So Rich, was Rush onto something?
Rush is onto something. Rush understands something that big government liberals do not understand, and that is you can't demand something into existence. If you're going to increase the demand for health care, whether it's to the Veterans Administration or Obamacare, and you're not increasing the supply through technology and market incentives, then you're going to have one of two things. You're going to have unconscionable delays, or you're going to have prices going up. There's no way of avoiding the mathematics of this situation.
So, Rick, just like the VA, we're going to have fewer doctors treating a lot more people, and therefore government bureaucrats are going to come in to say what you can and cannot do.
Yeah, you know, Rush may be on something, but he's certainly not right about this. Look, I have hammered the Obama administration in everything I've written over the past 2 weeks. I think what's going on at the VA is unconscionable, the worst thing that we've got going on in this country.
But is it what we're going to see in Obamacare?
But it has nothing to do whatsoever. Simply because when I wrote a big check this week to my private insurance company, what was I writing that for if it has anything to do with the VA? Government is not providing health care in Obamacare. People seem to love to say that. They may have set some rules, agreed, but they do not provide health care.
Right,
Government
Steve,
does provide it.
That's just not true, because Medicaid is expanding tremendously as a result of Obamacare. Medicaid is a government-run program. Obamacare can't have it both ways. They, on the one hand, say that Obamacare is spreading insurance to everybody, but on the other hand, they're including Medicaid numbers in that part of Obamacare.
Yeah, the government may not be running health care yet the way they run the VA, but they're telling doctors how to do their procedures. One size fits all. The Journal had an article the other day, an ophthalmologist didn't get paid because he didn't do the procedure, which saved a girl's sight, the way the Medicaid bureaucrats wanted it done. They're telling insurers what they can and cannot offer, so especially low-income people are getting very, very high deductibles, few choices of networks. So, yeah, we're going to VA land, just a slower route.
Mike, that article that Steve mentioned in the Wall Street Journal was heartbreaking. Very often surgeons will find on the operating table that they have to change procedures. This doctor realized to save this little girl's sight, he had to change a procedure, and he changed it in a way that he wasn't paid off by Medicaid. Now, he did the work, and she can see now maybe not all doctors would.
Yes, and the rules of the Affordable Health Care Act, David, are already causing premiums to skyrocket. Premiums for individual and small group rates are growing at their fastest clip in 3 years, between 11 and 12%. This is something that the president and Obamacare supporters assured us would never happen. Just like they said you can keep your doctor, premiums are going up just like they said they would not.
And obviously you can't keep your doctor, can't keep your hospital, but Sabrina, finding a specialist is going to be very difficult to do. In fact, in Canada, which is what we can sort of compare what we're going towards, look at this. After 4 weeks, only 39% of patients can get a specialist in Canada. 76% of us in the U.S. can right now, but maybe not in the future.
Right, and this is why I'm sorry, but Rick is in fantasy land here. Look, the VA system is the sort of platonic ideal for those who support Obamacare, the platonic ideal of government-run health care. But this is a perfect example of what happens when everyone has coverage, but no one has care. The reality is that we want the kind of system that's going to be good for men, for women, for veterans, for civilians, and that's a market-based system. That's a system that allows individuals to have choice and markets to respond to demand.
By the way, John, right now, Congresswoman Pelosi is suggesting that the fix for the VA is Obamacare. But in fact, isn't Obamacare an example of where we're going just like the VA did?
Oh, I think absolutely. I mean, for all of the military's virtues, it is a bureaucracy. It is not run by free markets. It's not run by price signals. So when you look at one of its health care programs, it's no surprise that it's marked by rationing and bad health care outcomes. In the case of Obamacare, undeniably, the government is going to have a bigger role in how health care is apportioned. That's going to rob it of market signals. And because of that, we are going to see the VA writ large on the U.S. health care system. The lucky ones will get out of it.
Steve?
And, David, we're already starting to see it already in terms of rationing. You see it with mammograms. They're trying to deny it to women under 50, going to doom thousands of women to unnecessary deaths from breast cancer. So this process is already underway.
And, Rick, a fellow columnist of yours at Forbes magazine, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, who's a medical doctor, he worked for the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, he compared Obamacare plans with private plans in the same area and found that cardiologists, OBGYNs, there are going to be far fewer specialists available for people who need them under Obamacare.
Well, so he says, and because that's a brand new article, I haven't had a chance to review it and maybe come up with something different. But I hardly know where to begin with the things that I've heard in this segment. Let me start with my good friend Mike here. No, premiums have not gone up their highest in 3 years. What has gone up is the total expenditure on health care. But what's fascinating is when it was coming down during the recessionary years, nobody was giving credit to Obamacare. It was about everything else. Now that it's going back up as people can join the system, it's Obamacare's fault. It's ridiculous. Fantasyland, Sabrina, show me how the VA is the same as Obamacare.
Mike, a lot of people, hold on a second, a lot of people, Mike, would say that the price was coming down from 2009 because of the recession. When people have less money in their pockets, they spend less on medical care. It's going up now with the implementation of Obamacare.
That's right. And the survey, sorry, Rick, you had your chance. Morgan Stanley, who did the survey, when they asked the question, the insurers said that it's the rules, such as how they can structure prices and so forth, that are specifically leading to the price increases. And look, David, when you have Senator Harry Reid taking to the Senate floor to say that the people that are complaining about the service under Obamacare are liars, that's when you really know.
Well, you had Jay Rockefeller say that people who were talking about Obamacare are racist.
They can't defend it with numbers, so they're throwing out names. That really is despicable.
Sabrina, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science either. When you provide something for free for everyone, it simply can't work, right? We're going to have longer lines. We're going to have corruption. We're going to have ration care. I was at the pediatrician with one of my children yesterday. I said, wow, my throat really hurts too. He said, I'd love to check you out. I'd love to do better medicine, but I can't because I don't have a chart for you. I don't have a way of billing, the insurance company. This is all going to get worse, was his point. This is all, he's going to be squeezed even tighter. There's going to be fewer people who are going to go into the medical field because of this.
Rich
There's going to be a whole lot of losses.
Go ahead, Rich.
Rick Unger is right on the technical differences between the VA and Obamacare, but the fundamental economics, as Sabrina and the others on this panel have pointed out, is exactly the same. When you increase demand, but you haven't increased supply, in fact, you are shrinking supply, making it more difficult for doctors to practice, then only one of two things can happen. Prices are going to go up, or they're going to be delays due to rationing.
And John Tamny, again, we're already having that. As that doctor in the Wall Street Journal pointed out, he had to go outside of the system. He was not paid back by Medicaid for saving this little girl's sight. Some doctors on the operating table might say, geez, if I'm going to have to eat, I can't afford to eat the cost of this operation. Luckily, that doctor could.
Absolutely. I mean, the problem with government getting involved in healthcare is they're actually trying to bring prices down. But the simple truth is you want prices to reach their natural market level so that you get more doctors pursuing ways to cure patients. The problem with this system is that when you force prices down like this, you get scarcity, and you will see the VA across the national healthcare system.
Rick, go ahead. Final word.
Sabrina, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to bet that you do not have an Obamacare exchange policy, number one. Number two, I know you're not on Medicare, so if your doctor had to check a chart, it's because that's what your private insurance company's making him do. The real rationers of health.
Yeah, ask a question. Go ahead, Sabrina, very quickly, please.
The point is it's going to get worse. There's going to be more ration care, more restrictions on doctors, and the prices are going to go high. Coverage does not equal care.
And I know you're not on Medicare. I know that for a fact, correct? We could all be sure of that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Coming up next, The View. usually leans to the left. So why did the audience, most of the panel, actually applaud what conservative Dr. Ben Carson said about welfare? We examine, you decide, coming up.
Hi, I'm Harry Anderson. For a good, uncomplicated way to exercise, take a walk. At any age, walking is one of the best ways to keep your heart fit and your joints limber, without the injuries that jogging or some aerobics can cause. Ask your shoe salesman for a shoe that's designed for walking. And ask your doctor to help you plan an exercise walking program that's right for you. Soon, you'll be on the road to better health.
A message from the Will Rogers Institute, wrinstitute.org.
Now, from the historical audio archives of Fox News Talk.
Joe DiMaggio was named the greatest living player in a 1969 poll of sports writers. He took the great American pastime of baseball to new heights during his career and defined the term sports hero in the 40s and 50s. Joltin' Joe was known for the power of his batting. After World War II, he became a national hero, and even people who didn't like the New York Yankees liked Joe. He announced his retirement in 1952.
I said last spring, I thought this would be my last year. I wish I could have had a better year, but even if I had hit 350, this would have been my last year for me anyway. You all know I've had my share of injuries and setbacks during my career. In recent years, these have been too frequent to laugh for. When baseball is no longer fun, it's no longer a game. And so, I've played my last game of ball.
Stay tuned to hear more history as it unfolds before your ears. It's the audio archives of Fox News Talk. Expanding your opinion base. John Gibson.
Look, there's good news here. For those of you who've been frustrated that these scandals get nowhere because the lefty press, the Obama-supporting media, won't engage on them, well, they're going to engage on this because, veterans are everywhere, and veterans are truly a sacred cow, and you can't go around letting them die.
John Gibson. Be a part of it live weekdays at noon East, 9 a.m. West.
Shepard Smith reporting is a new way to get the news. There's breaking news now on Fox News Channel. I'm excited about this because my role has changed a lot. I'm kind of acting as quarterback, and I get to call the shot. I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about this. We're trying to be game changers. We've created all of this so that we can get news fast, accurate, fair, and balanced. We want to lead the pack. More of today's top headlines from the Fox News deck. Now is the time for Shepard Smith Report. Tune in to Shepard Smith Reporting, weekdays on the Fox News Channel.
A Fox News alert, I'm Kelly Wright. A terrifying scene overnight in California. Police say at least 7 people are dead, 7 others wounded, following a drive-by shooting near the University of California, Santa Barbara campus. And after several shootouts with police, the suspect was found dead in his car from a gunshot wound. It's not clear yet if it was self-inflicted. Officials calling this a targeted attack. And a massive chemical plant explosion over Atlanta, or near Atlanta overnight.
Whoa! Holy
It happened in an industrial park in Marietta, Georgia, the fire burning for 10 hours before crews put out the flames. Police say the building is used to produce aerosol products, and about 20 people were inside at the time. Amazingly, no one was hurt. I'm Kelly Wright. See you back here at 1 p.m. for America's News Headquarters. Now back to Forbes on Fox.
A conservative view on The View, receiving cheers, not jeers. Check out what happened when Dr. Ben Carson gave his view about welfare in America.
When you take somebody and pat them on the head and say, there, you poor little thing, I'm going to give you food stamps, I'm going to give you a house. Wait a minute. Let me finish the thought.
Yeah, finish the thought.
Okay, let me give you housing subsidy. Let me give you free health care. And because you can't do that. And it's those people over there that's causing you to have your... Wait a minute.
We got to do it quick because we're almost close to wrap. So.
Okay, so what would be much more empowering is to use our intellect and our resources to give those people a way up and out.
May I just...
Okay. So you heard the audience. If even The View agrees with Carson on this, is there real chance for welfare reform, Steve?
Absolutely. The country had welfare reform back in the 1990s. A city like New York, over 20 years, cut welfare rolls from 1.1 million to about 350,000. New York's not known as a troglodyte right-wing nest. And I think you see the mood.
Exactly.
You can see the mood in the nation. If people have real troubles, yes, you have the safety net, but people don't want dependence. They want a vibrant economy again, which this president has not delivered.
Rick, is there a chance for real real reform again?
Well, I think that there is, although I have to be honest and say I didn't see all this support on The View that others seem to have seen.
Well, we heard them clapping. We just heard it.
There's always a few in an audience that will clap, but that's not the issue.
We report, let them decide. Go ahead.
They can decide on the tape. The issue is, how do you solve it? I think Dr. Carson is right as it pertains to some people. I think Whoopi Goldberg, we didn't play that part, was right when she said there's a lot of people on welfare who do want to work. So why don't we spend some effort, some time, and even some money separating out those people who actually need help versus those people who are gaming the system?
Well, John Tamny, we have spent a lot of money. By the way, this is the 50th anniversary of that Grace Society speech of LBJ that ushered in the welfare era that we're living through now. And look at the costs, how the costs have increased from 1964, $5 billion real dollars here, to $565 to $500 billion. And what are the effects? Not a lot. I mean, poverty's come down, but of course we've changed the way we define poverty. So it's basically equal in terms of the number of people and how they're living in poverty situations, despite spending trillions.
Of course, you can't fix poverty by empowering politicians to allocate more capital that is the way out of poverty. If you want to fix it, it's very simple. Grow the economy, which means shrinking government to leave more capital in the private sector. The government is doing the exact wrong thing, and that's why poverty has remained where it is, despite all the spending.
And, Rich, I was surprised. Maybe Rick didn't see it, but I saw the audience approve, and some members of the panel, with the exception of Whoopi, approving of what Carson was saying. That's a positive thing for me in terms of welfare reform, getting it in the future.
Well, it just shows you the value of having a great spokesman like Dr. Carson or Ronald Reagan. You're not people who are combative or trying to pick fights with the other side, but simply speaking the truth, speaking it authentically, speaking it with empathy. That's what you get. I think, you know, what he tapped into was this reservoir of conservative thinking in America today that was represented by the, you know, by even the applause by his fellow panelists.
Well, there is a question, Sabrina, whether the American public have gotten used to all these handouts, and whether, you know, the voting bloc of those who are getting used to them has increased to such an extent that welfare reform is impossible. But judging from what happened on The View, I would say that's not correct.
I would agree with you. I think that people are actually really open to this idea, and not simply because they understand that economic growth is the most important thing, but I think they see what happens when government largesse pushes out civic society. We all want to help people who are in need. We don't want this to be a go-it-alone society. We are far too wealthy and too compassionate of a country to allow that to happen. But when government gets in the way, when we have a $70 billion food stamp program, we're crowding out churches and synagogues and neighborhoods and schools that should be filling the need and helping those in their communities. And I think that's really something that Dr. Carson would agree with.
And the question is, Steve, whether there is nonpartisan support. I mean, there have been a lot of Democrats through history who have said this, that welfare can become a dependency, from Bill Clinton all the way down to FDR, by the way, warned about that.
Absolutely, and the welfare reform we got in the 1990s started in Wisconsin, which has been the progressive laboratory in this country for a century. So absolutely, I think it's bipartisan.
Well, Rick, will it happen during this presidency, or will we have to wait to the next one?
I don't think much of anything is going to happen in what's left of this presidency, given the Congress. But I do like that Rich Karlgaard kicked off the Ben Carson for President campaign, putting Dr. Carson and Ronald Reagan in the same sentence. That was nice.
Oz, what do you think?
I think the reason that more people are moving towards welfare reform is people believe that when people are suffering, the government should help them. But we're in an economic recovery, which we've been in for years, and yet entitlement spending has been growing at a very fast rate. And I think that's when people realize that what this president is interested in is not in growth and a stronger economy, but the redistribution of wealth. And most people, I don't think, are for that.
All right, that's got to be the last word. Coming up, washing away our national monuments, a new scare tactic to push the global warming agenda that could cost us all. That's on Cashing In. But first, right here, forget the movie house. Democratic leaders rolling out the red carpet at the People's House, all to promote a partisan film bashing the libertarian Koch brothers. Is this really a good use of your tax dollars?
Wealth is more than just stocks and bonds. It's the art of making money. Everyone doing it knows you have to see the opportunity. You have to take the chance. You have to have the passion. I live and breathe this stuff. Real estate, startup strategy, tech, art, wine. I know where the action is. I'll get you access to the minds making it happen. You have to play to win, so get in the game. Watch Risk and Reward with me, Deirdre Bolton, weekdays, only on Fox Business Network. The power to prosper.
The World Health Organization is declaring the spread of Middle East respiratory syndrome an urgent concern. The CDC confirmed 3 cases of MERS in the U.S., one being the first transmission of the virus on American soil. The coronavirus can be deadly, with symptoms of fever, coughing, and shortness of breath that is spread through close contact. The risk for travelers is low, but there's no cure. So health officials say airplane passengers should be cautious. House Call for Health, I'm Colleen Capon, Fox News Radio.
Securing America.
The Justice Department accuses 5 Chinese military officials of hacking computers owned by Westinghouse Electric, Alcoa, Allegheny Technologies, SolarWorld, and U.S. Steel, plus the United Steelworkers Union, all of which deal with strategic technologies and materials.
The alleged hacking appears to have been conducted for no other reason than to advantage state-owned companies and other interests in China at the expense of businesses here in the United States.
Attorney General Eric Holder announcing the charges. China's government denies them. Holder says the U.S. won't tolerate any nation trying to sabotage American companies illegally.
Our economic security and our ability to compete fairly in the global marketplace are directly linked to our national security.
Holder says the U.S. is stepping up cyber enforcement around the world. In Washington, Steve Taylor, Fox News Radio.
My Social Security is a new service that lets you set up an online account and gain quick access to the Social Security information you need the most. Use your account to get a copy of your Social Security statement, which includes your earnings record and estimates of your future retirement, disability, and survivor's benefits. If you already get Social Security, you can use My Social Security to view or print your benefit verification letter, check your benefit information, change your address and phone number, and more. You'll be able to gain access to all your important Social Security information by creating a My Social Security account. Visit www.socialsecurity.gov/myaccount. That web address again is www.socialsecurity.gov/myaccount.
In-depth, insightful, intelligent. Get it all. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern to Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News Channel. Every Sunday, Maria's sitting down with the biggest players in Washington and Wall Street, asking the tough questions and bringing a new perspective on the nation's most pressing issues. Every Sunday, tune in 10 a.m. Eastern to Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News Channel. Don't miss it.
The Koch brothers trashed this beautiful planet. These two brothers are trying to buy America. These two brothers are about as un-American as anyone that I can imagine.
Yeah. I guess bashing the Libertarian Koch brothers on the Senate floor isn't enough because Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and other Democratic leaders also just using a room in the Capitol to screen a movie that is slamming the billionaires. Now Republicans are filing an ethics complaint for using the People's House to promote a partisan film like this. John, you say this is no way to use our tax dollars.
You know, I love when Harry Reid speaks. Every word he utters helps the freedom movement because he shows how divorced from reality the left is. This was great what you just showed. More broadly, I don't like the idea of taxpayer money having anything to do with the screening of a right-wing documentary or a left-wing one. It's a good thing that the Republicans are filing an ethics complaint. I wish that both sides would do this more often when taxpayer money is wasted.
Rick, is there substance to this complaint?
Well, sure there is. If you think we were wasting taxpayer dollars when John Boehner hosted a libertarian think book in the screening of their film in the same place, and if we wasted taxpayer dollars when Representative Randy Forbes, no relation, Republican congressman, hosted a screening of a Newt Gingrich Citizens United film in the very same place. Here's the good news, guys. None of it was wasting taxpayer money. Neither is this, because all the people who staffed the visitor center would have been working there even if somebody didn't push the button on the DVD. Just another bunch of nonsense.
But Steve, it's such a nasty attack against a group of business people who have created tens of thousands of jobs, helped make America energy independent, and will also give away hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, I think John has it right. We shouldn't have any of this on the Capitol Hill. There are plenty of theaters around the country to run this stuff. So if Harry wants to bash the Koch brothers, go out and rent a theater and show that silly film. And in terms of the Koch brothers, they're minor leaguers compared to George Soros and the unions. But they know how to villainize people.
Minor leaguers.
Well, Rich, it has been a while since I've seen a personal attack like this from places like the Senate floor within the Capitol against. It's like J.P. Morgan back 120 years ago. Remember that? Well, you don't remember, but it happened.
I'm not that old, David.
He's sponsored it.
Yeah. Just be careful, David. You and I are the same age.
Right.
So,
But let me, before you respond, Rich, let me read a part of a statement from the Koch brothers about all this. They said, it's troubling that senior Democratic Party leaders are using taxpayer resources to publicize this dishonest partisan propaganda. Is it right for these congresspeople to use our money to promote this film?
No, it's not. And, you know, Rick Unger makes a very valid point about Republicans doing the same thing. But I agree with John Tamny. The left has reached its John Birch weird moment when they think that the Koch brothers of Wichita, Kansas somehow pull all the strings in the United States.
Sabrina, what do you think?
I completely agree. I actually find this slightly humorous. I mean, look, Democrats are so far ahead of Republicans on campaign tactics and research and testing, yet these two brothers seem to send them into a tailspin. So the only thing that makes any sense in my mind is that just fits into their class warfare narrative, and they've got to keep pushing forward with it, even if it doesn't make any sense.
Last word from Sabrina. Coming up, Kim and Kanye are getting hitched as the wedding season kicks off. And to celebrate, our informers are giving the gifts we'll all fall in love with.
Weekdays on Fox Business.
Bottom line here is we want investors to be prepared for the day ahead, the week ahead.
Opening Bell with Maria Bartiromo.
The concept is to bring perspective, analysis. All day long, I'm speaking with global allocators of capital, CEOs, heads of state, so I can anticipate some of the major moves or reactions, giving investors an edge.
Opening Bell with Maria Bartiromo. Weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on Fox Business.
There's more to Fox News Radio than meets the ear. Go behind the headlines and join the conversation on the hottest stories of the day on the Fox News Radio Facebook page. Be a part of the Fox News Radio Facebook fan community. Post comments and tell us your opinions. See behind-the-scenes photos and videos and post your reactions to the stories that matter to you. Click the like button on Facebook and connect with breaking news and features like Fox in the Fast Lane, House Call for Help, and more. Go to Facebook.com/Fox News Radio. Tom Sullivan.
Why don't we do the exact same thing as the VA loan program, which is guaranteed by the Veterans Administration, do the same thing with their health care, farm it out, and have it guaranteed, the payments guaranteed by the Veterans Administration. You would save a ton of money and get rid of all of these bureaucratic nightmares that they're suffering under in the VA that they're not ever going to be able to fix.
Tom Sullivan. Be a part of it live, weekday afternoons at 3 East, noon West. Or get the podcast at TomSullivan.com. Unique perspective. Uncommon talk.
The ultimate ticket would be Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. I guess my question to you is, don't you really, in your heart of hearts, know as a real liberal that that is the best alternative?
Well, yeah, I mean, and the best life for me would be to be a lot younger, better looking, and but the fact of the matter is, it's not going to happen.
Alan Colmes. Be a part of it live, weekdays at 6 p.m. East, 3 p.m. West.
FoxNewsTalk.com.
Get informed in the morning with Kilmeade and Friends.
The next election, we always hear this, is the most consequential election. But I think when you think about the judges that will be sat, and when you think about the direction of the country, it's more than Democrat or Republican. I think it's personal responsibility and socialistic programs as opposed to you're on your own, let's work it out, and let's reintroduce ourselves to a work ethic.
Kilmeade and Friends. Be a part of it live, weekday mornings at 9 East, 6 West. Or get the podcast at KilmeadeandFriends.com.
It's wedding season. Our informers have the gifts that keep on giving. Mike, Dr. Pepper.
David, I like this company because, like all newlywed couples, they keep a very close eye on their budget.
John Tamny, quickly, you like it or not?
There's passionate devotion to Dr. Pepper, so yes.
The Container Stores, why do you like it?
Married couples need to store their goods, and so it's a great buy.
Mike?
Yeah, I can tell you from firsthand experience, we use a lot of containers in our house.
That's it for Forbes. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Stay tuned. Eric is next.
They went to war for us. Now our government is waging war on our veterans. As the VA scandal explodes, President Obama says he found out about it by watching the news. Well, we've got some more breaking news for you, Mr. President. We dug up some dirt on the VA. It's a cash-in expose you won't want to miss. Plus, global warmers now warning national monuments could be washed away because of climate change. How these ridiculous scare tactics could wash our tax dollars down the river. And then, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. From From the picket line to a jail cell, fast food protesters arrested for wreaking havoc while demanding higher wages. How this ad proves Democrats and unions are crushing the people they say they're trying to help. Cashing in, firing up your Memorial Day weekend starts right now. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Boyd. Welcome to Cashing In. Our Cashing In crew this week: Wayne Rogers, Jonathan Hoenig, Michelle Fields, and Juan Williams. Welcome, everybody. As we celebrate Memorial Day, the Obama administration is under fire for treating our heroes like zeros. Our veterans are suffering and dying because of government incompetence. I received a call from a Republican congresswoman who alerted me to the fact that the VA was highly unionized. That set off bells and alarms in my head, so we did a little digging here at Cashing In, and here's what we found. Nearly 8 in 10 VA workers are unionized. Now, Michelle, that came as a complete shock to me and probably everyone who's watching right now. No one's talking about the union angle to this VA scandal. Tell us, is this a big reason why our vets are being mistreated?
Absolutely. Look, unions are the ones who are really standing in the way of real reform happening at the VA. The unions keep saying, well, it's because we need more money. Well, we need more staff. Well, that's not the case at all. It's them. They are the problem. They are the ones who are standing in the way of real reform, and they are the ones who are not allowing things to happen. I mean, that's it, plain and simple.
And Wayne, you know, when you think about the VA scandal, our veterans are dying on wait lists and whatnot, and when you think about a union, unions typically aren't in a big rush to get the job done, are they?
No, and not only that, Eric, you know, this was known about for a number of years. That's the part that's really startling. The president actually talked about it. I mean, he knew about it. He talked about it when he was running for president. He knew that this kind of thing was going on, and yet he did nothing about it.
Yeah. Hey, Juan, what about this union angle? I mean, we're shocked about to find that 78% of all VA workers are unionized. I mean, do they really need to be unionized? And by the way, is that part of the problem? Is that why it's taking some of our veterans so long to get health care?
Right. You know, they've been unionized for a very long time, Eric. You know, government has a high rate of unionization, and I don't see how that's related to the ongoing problems here. What we got is a scandal in which somebody was keeping secret lists in terms of giving service to people. The quality. Access, quality is not the issue. Access is the issue. And it just seems to me like you want to beat up on unions. I mean, I don't get it. What do unions have to do with this?
Eric, just keep in mind, Eric. Just keep in mind, John. To quote Juan Williams, I can't believe what I'm hearing. I mean, yeah, I think quality is of some interest to all those people who died as a result of the scandal.
Nobody died. You have any evidence that anybody died? Zero.
But let me just say, I think we have too many vets to begin with. We treat our soldiers like sacrifices. We've been more worried for years about what the Muslim street thinks about us rather than keeping our kids healthy, safe, and bringing them home. I think a moral foreign policy, we'd see many less vets than we have now. But I think to Wayne and Michelle's point, you know, what is the VA? The VA is socialized medicine. The government owns, finances, runs the whole thing. That's why unions have grown. No private sector enterprise wants to work with the unions. They're only going in the government where they can use government force.
Jonathan, you have to realize the VA's ratings are higher than private sector hospitals and healthcare.
So wait, Juan, let me just understand.
They get good treatment.
Wait, Juan, put yourself in their shoes. You'd rather go to the VA than the Mayo Clinic? Is that what I'm hearing?
What are you talking about? That's like the champagne of all health care in the world.
That's what we could be doing.
Doesn't have the ratings of VA.
Give them vouchers.
This is a very good discussion. I have to move on to the second part of this topic because it's amazing. As outraged as we are about our vets dying while waiting for health care, almost as outrageous, however, is President Obama's claim he heard about the VA problems from listening to the news. Watch.
I heard on the news. I first learned about it from the same news reports that I think most people learned about this.
When did the president find out about the Department of Justice's subpoenas for the Associated Press?
He found out about the news reports yesterday.
When was the president first made aware of these problems?
We learned about them through the reports.
All right, Juan, am I supposed to believe that the leader of the free world, variably the most powerful man on the planet, is finding out about all these things because he's watching Fox or whatever channel he watches?
Yeah, I hope he's watching Fox because then he would learn about these things. How is he supposed to know? How do you think President Bush learned about the scandal?
How is he supposed to know?
Hold on.
How is he supposed to know?
How did President Bush learn about the scandal at Walter Reed?
Please, what's going to happen? What, is he going to find out about the next terrorist attack when he watches the video on TV?
That's a good point, Eric. How did President Bush find out about the 9/11 attacks? Why? Guess what? Someone came and whispered in his ear. You're expecting that the president's supposed to know everything about everything?
13 years ago, and allegedly we spent trillions of dollars, and allegedly President Obama said we're winning the war on terror. I would say if he's finding out about this stuff on TV, we ain't winning squat. Go ahead, John.
And how is he supposed to know? It's his job to know. He is the commander-in-chief. I just got stuck on LSD this last couple of days when he was clocking up the LSD for a fundraising trip here in Chicago. It is his job to know. The president is the commander-in-chief. And if he was forward-thinking even just a little bit, he'd think about giving some of these vets, these heroes, vouchers. Let them go purchase the health care they want rather than having to go to the VA, which, Juan, you apparently love, but I've heard from many vets on Twitter, they say the service is atrocious.
And can I just say that Obama and Biden were actually briefed about this in 2008. Their transition team was briefed about this. He ran on this, fixing the VA. And going back to the unions, a lot of Americans don't realize, but there are hundreds of people who work at the VA, make six-figure salaries paid for by taxpayers, and they do nothing for veterans. 100% of their time is spent working on union-related things. Why are unions helping out the...
Let me get.
You guys are hurting your case by going off this way.
Wayne's been very patient here. You wanted to weigh in very early, but go ahead, Wayne.
Two things. Maybe they didn't hear me. I said that the president knew about this long beforehand. He knew about this when he was running for president. So all of this conversation about him not knowing and finding on the news is a lot of BS.
But why are they doing it, Wayne? Why does Jay Carney stand up there and look at the camera and tell the American people we didn't know?
Why does the president say you can keep your doctor, period? You can keep your plan, your medical plan, period. Why? Because he's lying. We've documented 36 lies. He's a politician. He's a great speaker. We know that. He's a gifted speaker. And therefore, he can use that to fool the American people. And by the way, most people don't listen to us. They listen to him.
Yeah, why is that, Juan? Why is Wayne 100% right on that? They're looking in the camera and telling us fabrications directly.
You know, I feel like I'm down the rabbit hole with you guys. The fact is we've got a scandal here because there was a secret list. There was no secret list back in 2008. It was generally lack of quick access for veterans to get in the system. That's what the president was talking about back then. We have a new scandal. I hate to break it to you. Watch Fox News.
Let me hear. Michelle, go ahead.
Obama and Biden were briefed about this. They were told not to believe any of the information coming from the VAs, that they were cooking the books. So you're lying, Juan, or you have the wrong information.
They were cooking the books about the list. Nobody knew there were secret lists in which they were absolutely not being honest.
All right, go ahead, John.
It's a function of the entity itself. I mean, we've documented, I don't know how many cases of these bureaucracies, mismanagement, waste of taxpayer money, left and right. The only person, Eric, the only group that would be hurt by actually privatizing some of the care for our heroic soldiers are the unions. They're the ones that are benefiting from the use of force by keeping these jobs.
I got to tell you, we're going to have to leave it there, but I'm going to tell you this union angle is absolutely stunning and outrageous. I can't believe. But you know what? You can continue the conversation on Twitter right now. Hashtag cashing in. Trending on Twitter. Get this. 17 weeks in a row. Be sure to keep it up. Let's make it 18. Make your voice heard again when cashing in trends. You trend. Check these out. Ron Pritchard 1 writes, Obama says people will be held accountable at the VA. Yeah, right. Just like Benghazi, IRS, NSA, Fast and Furious. Nobody is held accountable ever. And Logic Prevail says, funny how Carney, Obama, and the left always eagerly await investigation. Never any answers. Hashtag VA, IRS, Benghazi, Fast and Furious, and cashing. Coming up, global warmers added again, now saying if we don't do anything, there won't be any more national landmarks.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow! Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Now, from the historical audio archives of Fox News Talk.
Yankee great Casey Stengel